Hello again, YouTube. This is part of the Alpha
Take the next right onto
series,
West Bradley Road.
the Alpha Info series. Y'all gotta excuse the GPS. I'm out here getting it done. So
Continue
this
on
one
West Bradley Road for 3 miles.
has to do with alphas having friends. Alphas don't need friends. In fact, a lot of times it's not alpha when you pursue those friends. Because see, here's what happened. Normally, the only time an alpha really has friends is when they beating to his drum. Like when they're following his lead and they being loyal because they're following his lead. But a lot of times what happens is when he changes his life, if you will, and things change in his life, those friends start to disappear. And then let's say you reconnect with these guys. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, it's not going to be the same. In fact, what tends to happen is those that knew you were the alpha sometimes will challenge you. Those that knew you were a alpha will challenge you. And they'll often do whatever it takes. Like they'll change stories. They won't respond to stories to clear things up, clear the air, so on and so forth. When you alpha and you walking in that alpharism, you got to understand something. You don't need friends. You don't need friends. A lot of time, alphas sometimes don't even want friends. Like, I think they do want friends sometimes, but sometimes you have the ones that don't even want friends. Because alphas know they're not for everybody and they don't trust everybody. So a lot of times they are better suited to be by themselves. They excel in jobs where they're alone. Driving jobs, security jobs, businesses that they can do by themselves. They also will excel in businesses that are their businesses, but a lot of times they won't excel in businesses that are somebody else's. I'm gonna give you some examples. Not saying that every short guy is like this, but let's say you're an alpha. And let's say you're 6'2", 6'3", and there's a short guy with a Napoleon complex that doesn't like tall guys. Well, he will, if he's beta, find a way to minimize your earnings or your influence. This stuff ain't unusual. See, people will be telling you the whole time that it's you. But if you know you're an alpha, or you learning about what an alpha is and you starting to see that you have a lot of alpha tendencies, characteristics, so on and so forth, you're going to see that you need to work for yourself. You need to work for yourself. Like, a lot of times alphas are good at picking fantasy teams because they're good at picking. See? But one thing you have to understand about relationships, friendships,
Street for 1 mile.
is that you can't control how another person feels. You can't control the changing emotions of another person. You gotta know this, you gotta understand this in your dealings. Because you learn how to be an alpha like the chief alpha, you're gonna know that you come first. That you are first. And you are the last. You finish things. But when you start, which is going to be a later broadcast, you start hearing all these voices. It's the reason why a lot of alphas are confused. Like, that's where some of the failure comes from. It comes from the confusion of hearing all these voices. Man, you too emotional. But it's really them. I can give you an example, man. And I hate to use this as an example, but this is a true life story. I had a coworker in the past, right? He always used to tell me, man, don't worry about it. You've been too emotional, this, that, and the other. I'm not talking down on him, but I'm going to use him to get this truth out. He always was telling me, man, don't worry about it, man. Don't worry about this. Don't worry about that, right? He was trying to present himself as the alpha male, and he was beta as hell. He was beta, man. So, towards the end of his life, I started noticing that, well, let me go back just a little bit. I had lost a child. And he also lost a child in the past. When I came back to work, I noticed that he was acting a little different. Like, he looked at me and then he looked off in the air. And I heard that he told somebody that he never got a chance to grieve over losing his child. So some other things happened to him. And to make a long story short, he canceled himself. But he was always telling me, man, you're being too emotional, man. Don't worry about it, man. This, that, and the other. When the whole time, I know myself, and this is how I deal with things sometimes. Like, I get stuff off my chest. I'm the person that'll tell people, man, if you got something to say, just say it. You know, just say it. Like, that's me. That's alphas. So, the confusion comes from hearing too many voices. People trying to make you think everything that goes wrong is your fault. Alphas are normally isolated, so sometimes that's what they believe. Maybe it is my fault. But when you dig off into things, you'll know if it's your fault or not.
Use the right 2 lanes to take the US 41, US 45 south.
Because a lot of times, it's not your fault. People will say you being too emotional when it's really them. It's really them. You know who be too emotional? People who complain about their job for 10 years, 15 years,
Use the right 2 lanes to
20
take
years.
the US 41 ramp.
That's who's too emotional. Not a person who says, you know what, this ain't worth it, I quit. That ain't emotion at all. You know, because when you know your ability and capability, you're not going to be so willing to put yourself through extra suffering. And that's how alphas is, and that's why alphas don't need friends. And a lot of times, alphas won't even have any friends. Or they'll have only a few, and in some cases, the few that they have over time, those go down to zero. Because an alpha see right through you trying to, well, I think you should do this. No, I shouldn't. You know why you think I should do that? Because that's what you do. You know why you think I should do that? Because you and your fears in life, that's what you would do. See, when you're an alpha, you don't fear anything. Whatever happens, happens. You just adapt and adjust. You do like to prepare, but you don't fear. I don't fear losing anything. I've lost before. I'll lose again, possibly this or that. So, an alpha don't need friends. That's why Facebook is not good for an alpha. Instagram definitely ain't, because it caters to everything that an alpha is not. external appearance, superficial, grifting. You'll never catch an alpha grifting. They too real. They don't grift. They don't, you know what grifting is, for those of you who don't know, and we finna close this. Grifting is when a person knows that they are not like something, but yet they'll do something or say something to present some type of illusion to gain wealth or prestige or fame. That's what grifting is. And that's what a grifter does. They will claim to be single while married. Y'all already know I'm still married. I'm married, but I'm alpha, so I say what I want on here. My wife ain't gonna tell me what to say, because it's like this: either you for me or you against me, and that's how alphas think, and that's why alphas don't need friends. To the truth, man. The channel is the No Matrix, No Simping, All Subjects channel. Thanks for watching.